This video provides my guess on what is going on in China with the COVID lockdowns and protests. Hello friends, this is Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini, where I provide unique analysis of world events based on the unmasked truth that after surrender, Germany continued World War II clandestinely and became a killing machine. I also provide true news that you will find nowhere else. The Associated Press reporting on November 30, 2022 on the COVID-related protests in China stated, China's ruling Communist Party has vowed to resolutely crack down on infiltration and sabotage activities by hostile forces, following the largest street demonstrations in decades by citizens fed up with strict anti-virus restrictions. A massive show of force by the security services Wednesday sought to deter further protests. The statement from the Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission released late Tuesday followed protests that broke out over the weekend in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and several other cities. Most protesters focused their ire on the zero COVID policy that has placed millions under lockdown and quarantine, limiting their access to food and medicine while ravaging the economy and severely restricting travel. Many mocked the government's ever-changing line of reasoning, as well as claims that hostile outside foreign forces were stirring the wave of anger. Yet bolder voices called for greater freedom and democracy and for Xi, China's most powerful leader in decades, as well as the party he leads, to step down. Speech considered subversive and punishable with long prison terms. Some held up blank pieces of white paper to demonstrate their lack of free speech. The weekend protests were sparked by anger over the deaths of at least 10 people in a fire on November 24th in China's far west that prompted angry questions online about whether firefighters or victims trying to escape were blocked by antivirus controls. In response, state and local authorities have eased some controls. I don't think what is going on in China has anything to do with zero COVID policy. Xi Jinping's position as leader is under no threat. This is just another game he's playing. A few weeks ago, the Chinese planted fake news through some Indian internet-based news outlet that Xi Jinping was under house arrest and that the Chinese military was seen moving towards Beijing in a 70-mile-long convoy. The reality was that the Chinese were moving their military north in preparation for a possible attack on China. The COVID lockdowns have also been orchestrated under the pretext of the zero COVID policy. The purpose has been to disrupt supply chains to cause pain in Western countries, particularly in the United States. In the event of war, with depleted inventories in all manufactured goods, the civil war in the United States between German masqueraders and their allies against whites of non-German ancestry will only be fiercer, turmoil greater, and the loss of population more severe, making it easier to attack, conquer, and occupy our countries. Such disruption of supply chains continues under the guise of zero COVID policy. China had conquered COVID and has no COVID problem, except perhaps for a few isolated cases. What then could be the purpose behind orchestrating fake protests by students and others against the zero COVID policy and lockdowns, and give the fake impression to the West that Xi Jinping's leadership is under threat and that his position has weakened? The only reason I can think of is to induce America to attack China. This seems to be the only logical explanation, though that would be warped thinking on the part of Xi Jinping. The USA and British Commonwealth nations have no need or plans to attack and conquer anyone's territory. The US and British Commonwealth nations have no need or plans to attack China, and we will never have such plans. We have prime agricultural the only reason we may have such plans is if we are attacked or threatened in any way. We have prime agricultural, mineral, energy, and natural resources in the world given to us by God as our portion on earth. With trade among ourselves, we are the most self sufficient people of any nation on earth. We have the technology to manufacture everything we need for ourselves. We need nothing from China and Germany. The same cannot be said for Germany and China. They are deficient in most natural resources. In any war, their supplies can be threatened or they can be made to pay through their noses for such resources. Unlike Germany and China, we have no desire to rule over others after our experience with colonialism. My advice, again, let me reiterate to China, we have no plans whatsoever to attack China. My advice to our national governments is to not pay heed to Chinese shenanigans, but to focus on getting our manufacturing back to America and shift the lower end of manufacturing to more reliable countries than China so that our supply chains will not be interrupted again. We should also insist on reciprocal trade with all our trading partners. We should minimize our trade with China and Germany and considerably reduce our imports from them. The goal should be zero trade with China and Germany. The result will be a tremendous increase in our GDP, per capita GDP, and standard of living, with the per capita GDP of Germany and China plummeting. We could even collaborate with Russia to achieve that goal if necessary. I hope Xi Jinping gets the message that the USA and Russia have no need or plans to attack China. We are not an aggressive people like them. We are self sufficient in almost everything and liberally share our resources with the world and provide aid. But we will defend ourselves against attacks on us and our allies. We should keep the benefits of our labors to ourselves. Xi Jinping should stop his shenanigans in China, though they are not hurting us in any way. Our media should stop reporting such nonsense. My message to United States and British Commonwealth nations, please start working working diligently to minimize trade with China and Germany and stop enriching them at our own expense and our allies' expense. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please continue to watch my videos and read my articles on important world events, World War III watch, politics, international business, advice on health and medical problems, and much more for in-depth and insightful analysis. Please also subscribe to my YouTube and Facebook channels, Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini, to view and get information on the latest videos.